3. All right, welcome back to Grin and Barrett, episode 2, Zoom edition. We are separate this time. I'm at my home, my brother's at his. But we are back for episode 2. We're going to try to keep it a little bit shorter this time. We came out hot out the gates with the nice little 2-hour episode
Totally.
to start it off. Definitely feeling it out, but we are back with something a little bit more short form this time. Hopefully, we'll see. Who knows how
Yeah,
many
yeah,
tangents we
yeah.
go off on.
Yeah, we'll see. It just kind of goes over. So,
All right,
but
I think
lot to cover, right?
for sure. Yeah, I mean we have a lot to cover, but we're also getting a little bit more specific this time. First things first, a little thing that happened since the last time. Um,
Oh,
Last
is
time we were on
this
the podcast
hell yeah.
with the most recent Blazers signing. So a little background, Greg Brown. Well, let's just watch the video first, and we'll go into who Mr. Greg Brown is.
Let's do it.
I mean,
Glorious plug of the album.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, he did it! Oh, no, he
Insane.
didn't. Greg Brown. Greg Brown.
So just ridiculous, right?
Everyone's
I mean,
like, ah.
I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of NBA players that have that ability, but to do it in a game, I mean, albeit a summer league game, it's pretty sweet to still just go ahead and do that at a, you're just fresh out of college. I think too, if I looked right, and let me look here, I think he is, yeah, he's 19 too.
Wow.
So I think this is, I
The
think he only
confidence
played,
in him.
yeah, he only played 1 year. So he played for Texas. He played 1 year, averaged 9.3 points, 6.2 rebounds.
Right.
Um, yeah, and the Blazers. So he was drafted 43rd by the Pelicans, and then the Blazers traded.
Traded him up. Yeah.
Yeah,
He looks to be promising. I mean, for anybody to come out and have the confidence immediately to do, you know, that kind of a dunk is it's promising.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
pretty much
I honestly haven't been watching the summer games. There's been other stuff going on. I don't know what else he's kind of done in these summer games other than just
right.
throw down a ridiculous dunk.
Yeah, that dunk was. I mean, but that's what you want to see. In our like summer leagues is the confidence in players, the confidence to be able to shoot those threes, to be able to dish and kind of be able to like the dunks and the various different you know types of things that these guys can do. I mean, like this is your coming out party. Like, what are you going to do? What can you make a name for yourself? That like he obviously did that in this, and the what I'm looking for in summer leagues is highlight clips, clips that general managers and coaches are going, oh man, this guy could be an up and coming star. This guy could be a problem, and this guy, when he did that, Greg Brown, when he did that, he looks like a problem. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be. However,
Yeah, I
that
don't
was a pretty
know.
sick dunk.
I don't know much about him. I don't ever really remember. I didn't watch a whole lot of Texas basketball, so I don't really remember him that much. It looks like um, that game he played 19 minutes, had 9 points on 57% shooting, 6 rebounds, 1.5 blocks.
Yeah,
So
it's okay,
you never know.
okay,
It's a summer game, like I said, but
but
it's just good to see some. Yeah,
yeah.
you never know. And
Again, it's
maybe a
a
good
it's a
move.
it's a game. It's the summer league is your coming out party. If what are you going to provide? Is it three pointers? Is it passing? Like, and that's what general managers, coaches are looking for, in my opinion, in a team and a person for their team is somebody who they can go, oh well, this guy could fit perfectly, and that he is a good passer, or that he's a good shooter, or that he has the confidence already to do ridiculous dunks. That that was cool to see. It was all over social media. I mean, I know stars like LeBron James even like uh, tweeted it out saying like, "Oh, geez, like this is insane," and to get that praise at that level when you're just out of college is pretty
Well, I
cool.
mean, yeah, barely out of high school.
Yeah,
I mean, he only played 1 year in college, and honestly, like summer league, it's good. Just it's good to see him get some professional experience. He's playing against pro level caliber players. So yeah, we'll see. And like I said, that was the only player the Blazers picked up from the draft this year. So and they traded a future second round pick for it. So hopefully it works out.
yeah.
Um, it's been a minute since we've had a draft pan out in a sense.
You mean Damian Lillard?
Well, I think CJ would definitely count.
Yeah, yeah. CJ's nice. I would say the next, if you go look back at the Blazers draft picks and
I mean,
who
they've
they've
made the
gotten in,
worst draft picks to two worst draft picks of all time.
right? Well, 100%. But the pickup of Damian Lillard's big. Now,
Yeah. But I
we can
mean,
get into the
anytime
fact.
any team that passes on Michael Jordan for Sam Bowie and then takes Greg Oden for Kevin instead of Kevin Durant, you've kind of you don't have a
Yeah.
great draft record.
No. No. Agreed. Agreed. You got a good point.
Okay, well, why don't we move on to a little bit of soccer? So we had outside of the Premier League, we had a League Cup today, the Carabao Cup. Um, Arsenal playing West Bromwich, or Bromwich rather. So West Brom is a Championship League team, so maybe not the highest caliber. Not only are they a championship team, but they also had some guys out on injury, I think on COVID as well. So maybe not the best crew, but in the end, Arsenal wins 6-0.
You love to see it.
You get a hat trick from Aubameyang. Pepe gets a goal. Bukayo Saka gets a goal, and Lacazette comes in towards the end of the game and also gets a goal. Pretty quick off the bench too. I think he made one good pass forward that almost resulted in a goal, and then his next touch was a goal. So pretty good pretty good use of him there.
Yeah.
It was a pretty one-sided match, to be honest. Like I said, 6-0 run
Well,
or
score
six.
says it all.
Yeah. Um,
But
Overall, Odegaard's just recently got signed. Obviously, he was there 2 years ago, right? So he's back on the squad 2 years ago on loan. Now he's there permanently. This was his debut. He looked great. He had a really nice looking pass to Saka for his goal.
mhm.
Um, Debut of Aaron Ramsdale and goal in place of Leno. He had some good saves. I wouldn't say he was necessarily pressured all that much in the second part of the game. But towards the front, he had a little bit of pressure. West Bromwich was definitely uh, pressing a lot more on when Arsenal had the ball, um, near the goal and stuff like that. So he was under a lot of pressure then. But it kind of obviously relaxed a little bit once they started getting a hang of the game a little bit.
Totally. I think anytime you can get a Aubameyang going in any game, especially when he gets a hat trick, is
Yeah.
big for any team. I mean, he's a championship caliber player, and when he gets 3 goals, your team's gonna win. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
well, and him being out, this was kind of nice break from the Premier League to get, him some minutes in from being, I think he was out with COVID. He came in against Chelsea there towards the end, but this is, he got pretty good minutes today. Odegaard getting some minutes as well was very nice. Bukayo Saka, that was really nice to see him get some minutes, and he played really well. He won a really good ball to get the first goal for Aubameyang. Um, so yeah, it was a good game to watch. Good to see. Now we kind of flip the script and get a much higher caliber
Yeah.
opponent this weekend in Man City. I
Yeah.
think. I think. Let me look. What was the
Plus 1,000, I think.
plus 1,000? Is that what
Yeah.
it was?
Yeah.
So
Plus
Arsenal's
1,000,
plus
Man United
1,000 to
is.
win.
So not
No,
good odds for
no.
Arsenal going
Arsenal's plus
forward.
1,000 to win. So they are
Oh,
not
yeah.
looking.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Totally.
not looking great there,
Yeah. It's going to be a different
unfortunately.
game.
Yeah, it's going to be a much different game, but yeah, but it was good to see him one score finally because it had been they hadn't scored all year yet, but it looked a lot more put together. Now, granted, like I said, a little bit lower caliber of opponent, a Champions League team, or Championship League team, but
Totally.
either
It's
way,
moving forward. We'll see. I mean, they're going to be tested immediately versus Man U. They're going to be tested. Aubameyang's going to be obviously tested. Their goalkeeper is going to be tested way more in this game. How he responds, how
yeah,
Aubameyang responds, how their team responds in a whole with passing and shutting down menus. Pretty awesome offense is
yeah,
really going to kind of make or break the game,
yeah.
and
It'll
it
be
doesn't look
interesting.
good for Arsenal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see they start. I don't know if we have the same 11 out there, but we'll see.
Yeah,
They looked halfway decent today, but we'll see who they end up putting out there on relatively short rest.
yeah, very short rest.
So okay, well I think the next topic and I think our last topic that we'll kind of spend some time on is going to be the upcoming fights. Not UFC, but boxing this time. But it does include a UFC fighter, and that's going to be the Woodley Jake Paul fight coming up Saturday, right?
Sunday, I think
Is
it's
it Sunday?
Sunday.
Okay.
I think it's Sunday.
Yeah, I haven't looked. I didn't look
I'm
into
pretty sure
the.
it's Sunday. It's a little Sunday bout. I think I think the UFC is going Friday or sorry, Saturday. I think sports are happening Saturday. I think they knew that. I think they're going Sunday, get more views. But uh, I think this is the hottest topic in sports right now. If I could be honest, I think um, the whole YouTuber fighting background is washed with these TikTokers who are fighting and they're trying to get their money where their money's could be made. However, Jake Paul and Logan Paul, but Jake Paul certainly looked to be taking this a little bit more seriously than all these other guys. Jake Paul, he's a YouTuber, so he gets that bad rap. He gets that kind of that bad boy, you know, persona. However,
Well, I think it's just. I think he's earned it.
of course, but he's an influencer. So
Sure.
anytime you get somebody who like look at Conor McGregor. I mean, Conor McGregor was like the first kind of real he wasn't an influencer coming in, of course, but he understood the fight game. He understood that if you talked more shit and you were witty, that you would sell more. And we've seen that over time. Whereas Connor is still probably one of the top prize fighters of the UFC, even though he's lost.
Well, he was
I mean, he
just.
hasn't won a fight in 5 years. I mean,
I
think
mean,
about that.
I think Forbes just published he was the highest paid athlete last year.
Yeah, which is insane. I mean, we're talking about the highest paid athlete, and he hasn't won a fight in 5 years. Like
Yeah,
that
he's
says
barely
something.
fought.
Yeah, that says something about the sport. It says something about the way he's kind of taken on a persona. Look no further than the Chael Sonnens or the in the MMA community, like these guys who are talking all the shit, and Colby Covington's like the best example now. I mean, he's talking all this
Yeah.
shit. He was all MAGA. He was all this, that, and he was hot when Trump was in office, and because he wore that hat, and he was willing to go to bat for
Well, I mean, he was a lot
his
more
side.
active and winning then too. I mean, he
That's true.
since the
He fought a
Usman
monster
fight,
in Kamaru Usman.
yeah, he hasn't really been relevant since then. I can't even. I think he fought again after that, and he fought Woodley. That's right.
Right. How much of that you think is him kind of losing that Trump effect? That the fact
Nah.
that
I think he just
you don't think
hasn't.
so?
Nah. I mean, I think I mean, I think he could pivot. He could talk about other stuff. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that matters as much. I think it's more so just like he lost, and he
Once you
just
lose, you're
has.
out.
Well,
Which,
I don't know about that. I
well, in
mean,
a way, once that's like kind of the perfect segue into this Jake Paul shit. As soon as Jake Paul loses, which he's fighting a legitimate striker, a world champion in the UFC. He's fighting a real, actual, proper opponent for the first time. Really, I mean, he's fought
he fought Deji. He
Nate, yeah,
fought
Denji, Nate Robinson, and
Nate
he's fought Ben
Robinson.
Askren. I
He
mean,
fought Gibb. Yeah, so Deji Gibb, uh, Nate Robinson, and Ben
yeah,
Askren. So he's fought two YouTubers, a basketball player who hasn't played basketball in a long time,
right,
and a fighter who was a wrestler.
right.
So I mean, he
Well,
hasn't fought anyone that has this, a striking ability, and you know, Tyron Woodley does have it. Now, would I say it is, to the caliber of maybe a professional boxer? Not necessarily, but he definitely has a lot more danger um, than Jake Paul's faced in the past.
yeah, 100%. I think so. You look at Jake Paul's record, and you go, so he's fought in pretty much nobody. Because honestly, people thought, oh, well,
Yeah,
that Ben Askren fight, he's fighting a UFC fighter. But Ben
not really.
Askren
Ben
was never
Askren
known as
never.
a striker.
No, he was never striking. He was taking people down.
Yeah.
That was his game.
And
There
and
wasn't strikes being thrown really.
and it comes out, later that Ben Askren didn't really even train. He was not really even invest. He was more invested in the payday, which good for him,
Yeah, I
honestly.
mean, yeah, go get
Uh,
your money. He was kind of pretty much done with the UFC. I mean, how much of that is true? If he wins the fight, maybe yes, maybe he still says he doesn't train. But I mean, how much of that is true? You never know. But the
Dude, do
fact
you
is he
remember?
lost, right?
Do you remember they're like face to face, their head off, and Jake Paul did something. Ben Askren like hit him in his waist or whatever, and there everyone was like, that tells everything. That was all we needed to know, that Ben Askren's gonna win, and then Jake Paul
Yeah.
knocks him out in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't surprise me, to be honest.
No, I
A
actually
lot of
bet.
people were thinking that Askren was, gonna
Right.
win that fight.
I bet on that, and I think I made like $300 that Jake Paul was going to win in the first round, and so I made a good chunk of change off that fight
I
actually.
mean, that's good. So, I mean, looking at this fight, honestly, so you look at Jake Paul, the younger fighter, Woodley pushing 40 now. This little tail of the tape that I found, not the best, to be honest. I mean, they kind of did Woodley a
Zero
little.
fights,
Yeah, I mean,
zero wins, zero losses, zero KOs.
yeah, so
Like
obviously that's
he's
his
got some
boxing
losses,
record, but well, I
right?
mean, I think they're just trying to say because he's 19-7-1 in the UFC, five of those wins coming from knockouts via punch. He has been KO'd once himself early on in his career from Nate Marquardt by elbows. That was when he was fighting in, was that Invicta or something along those lines? I can't remember exactly. So Strike Force, I want to say.
Right.
So early on in the career, obviously, UFC champion. I think he defended his belt, maybe three times? I want to say. Well, I have his
I
record
feel like
here.
more than that. He held that belt for a hot second until he
So
until he fighted the nightmare that is Kamaru Usman. I mean, that guy. I switched to MMA real quick. He is a nightmare. I mean, that guy,
so it looks like
Colby
he
Covington. I mean, he's beaten everybody.
won one, two, three, four 4 title defenses, then loses the belt against Kamaru Usman.
Right.
And since that loss, he goes on to lose against Gilbert Burns, decision, uh, quote unquote knockout against Colby Covington. Although it was that rib thing that he went down and said, "Oh, my ribs," and just kind of basically gave up at
Right.
that point. And then most recently, the loss to Vicente Luque by Darcy Choke. So
Right. And then being let go by the UFC. I mean, like to kind of go off topic a bit from the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight, quickly. You see these fighters like Connor, like Tyrone, like all these guys, they kind of do this up, and then the up, they're like little up wins are awesome. And, they can't be beat. They're the best, and then they do this like they lose, and then they do this immediate down. And you saw that with Connor. You saw that with Tyron Woodley, and the only the timing is everything with these guys. It seems like people who get out when they're champions, and they are that everything that is a champion.
yeah,
What got him to the dance
yeah.
is everything. Henry Cejudo, he fought and won. He, obviously did this for the longest time. And then he got out on the top, double
Well, I
champ.
mean, your best examples, Khabib, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Khabib. Yeah.
I
Khabib's
mean,
not, Khabib's like almost not fair though.
well, I mean, I think he just, yeah. I mean, that's just
He's
a whole
so
different
good.
story. Yeah, yeah. I
I mean,
just don't.
nobody's beating Khabib.
No.
He comes back, he still wins. I mean, that's the difference between like
Yeah.
good and great is you got, if Khabib ever came back, Khabib's still gonna win, and it's just training. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, but
Yeah. So I mean, so yeah. I mean, you look at the rest of it. The one interesting thing I saw was the fight will be at cruiserweight, so that means they got to be under 200 pounds. The important part of that is, so Jake Paul's has been fighting about 189 to 200 pounds in that range.
hmm,
I think the big thing is going to be Woodley, who's fought his career at 170. So with no real weight cut required this time for him, because he's about a 200 pounder, probably more than that, natural frame.
probably walks around.
Walking around, he's probably. I mean, he's a big guy, but he cut down to 170. So with a smaller weight cut, I mean, one, he's going to be, he's not going to have that stress and strain from the weight cut, and two, does he bring in extra power from not having to cut weight and
Yeah,
stamina? Is he just going to be a better fighter? Like I said, a little bit older, so obviously that's gonna affect him. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how that affects the fight with him being now also boxing.
completely different sport.
Completely different sport.
It's stamina is key. We saw that in the Connor Floyd fight.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really transfer over. Connor being a great striker of the UFC, he's known for it. And then you go to the boxing world. I mean, be it against the best boxer, arguably of all time, Floyd Mayweather. However, Floyd, let's it's tough to even really say because Floyd was like, he knew what was going to go on, and he was able to plan for it. However, we're talking about a fighter in Jake Paul that is not nearly experienced and doesn't
No,
really understand.
it's
I
not even a
mean,
comparison.
I don't think
I mean,
he's actually even been.
the
I
the
don't think he's
the
actually even been after the third round.
well, who?
Jake Paul.
No.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
well,
think
I mean,
he's
I can't remember no, because he fought to decisions, I think, in the two YouTuber fights, but I think they were shorter fights. And then obviously first, wasn't it? No, was it the second round for the Nate fight, and then the first round for the?
right. So he hasn't even.
No, he hasn't
Yeah, he's
seen.
not even past the third round.
He hasn't
So
seen deep waters in a ring.
this test,
And Woodley
this will
has.
be that.
Woodley's seen 5 round fights. He's seen.
Mhm.
He's seen the ends of those. So
Totally.
that'll be interesting too. It's
100%.
it's definitely going to be. I think this is definitely going to be the one that actually, for me, legitimizes Jake Paul if he wins this. I think I have a little bit more respect. But I think if he loses it, I could see him dropping down, maybe just doing kind of taking the more natural route of fighting, maybe boxers more his skill or like experience level, I guess to say,
Right.
and rather than picking these guys that aren't boxers. Like if you want
Right.
to do it, go do it the regular way. Now, granted, obviously he's making a ton of money fighting these fights
Yeah.
because if it's Jake Paul versus Joe Schmo that no one's ever heard of,
He's a big name.
who's fought 5 fights and whatever, no one's gonna really, they'll probably pay some money, but it's not gonna be like him fighting Nate Robinson or Woodley or Ben Askren or any of those things, where they're gonna make a lot more money.
Yeah. Just for fun, Jake Paul beats Tyron Woodley. Who's he fighting next?
I
Just
Well,
for fun.
it's tough to say. It depends on what route he goes. I think if you see him win, does he go for another quote unquote celebrity match, where it's someone that's got a bigger name that might not
Dylan
necessarily,
Dennis,
yeah, and that might not
Conor
necessarily
McGregor.
Connor. I mean, there's some crazy ones out there that like he would be stupid to take. Like if he were to take like a Diaz fight, that's just dumb. Like those guys are just
Yeah,
ridiculous.
totally.
That's
But you got to
just
talk some shit on the way up, Like
he.
you got to be like, "Oh, fuck Nate Diaz up," blah blah blah. But who does he legitimately fight? I mean, I know him and Dylan Dennis are,
Yeah,
I think
like
Jake Paul I think he like wants to fight Connor,
yeah,
and I
and
think to get to Connor is to fight Dylan Dennis. I mean, that's Dylan Dennis' right hand man. He's kind of a Ben Askren. He's a in a way he's a wrestler. He's a jiu-jitsu type guy. So
yeah.
you
I
know,
I mean, I think yeah, true. I mean, I think honestly, it'll just be. I mean, that'll be up to Connor, right? Because Connor, I think, is still holds the. I think he gets to make the move there.
well, 100%. I just don't know if Connor's coming off of a leg injury, in which,
Yeah, and I don't know. It depends on what Connor wants to do. Does he wanna?
yeah,
Does he want to?
stoop to that level, or does he want to
Well, not
continue?
necessarily that. I mean, does he want to focus on right? Because a lot of the things with Connor was, is he actually focusing on MMA? Is that what he wants to do? Is he passionate about it still? If he's not,
Yeah,
if he truly is, then he won't deal with this. He won't even he won't worry about it. But if he wants the money, then yeah, take the fight. I mean, that's a lot of money. Absolutely.
right. I think Connor's got. I feel like he's got all the money. I don't necessarily think he's hurting for money.
Again,
So
Forbes top, you know, top
yeah,
paid
he's the
athlete.
top played athlete of the year. I
Yeah.
mean, he's the number one guy. So he's, you know, if you're a Connor fan, you don't want him to fight a Jake Paul because that's kind of like for me it's stooping down to like a level that is like, all right, you're gonna fight somebody that's beaten like scrubs, whereas you could fight like somebody where you could get like a legitimate championship in the UFC.
So that brings me to, the option number two for Jake Paul is let's forgo these like celebrity matches, I guess, and let's maybe fight an actual boxer that's got some experience and I think you see somewhat of a boxer name plus someone that's got some experience in this same card in Tommy Fury.
Mm,
So little brother
yeah, Tyson
of
Fury,
Tyson
right?
Fury is
Right.
also fighting this card. He's 5-0, pretty good boxer. I think there's quite a big difference. No, cruiserweight. Yeah, so same weight class. So if he wins this fight against Woodley and legitimately wants to pursue boxing, I think he needs to step away from this fighting people that aren't necessarily boxers, right?
Yeah, he has to.
And I think he goes and fights someone that's
A
boxing,
boxer.
that's working it through. If Fury wins, which he's a minus 1,500 favorite to win, uh, then I think that makes the most sense because you got a little bit of a name, as in he is,
Huge
he's the
names.
well, I wouldn't say I mean, I didn't know about Tommy Fury until I saw the fight card and was like,
You
hey,
ever watched
are they
Love in
related?
Paradise?
No.
Okay, so Love in Paradise is where that dude's got his name. Love in Paradise, he was like he's like a good-looking dude. Look at him.
Yeah.
Look at him on the on
Yeah.
the right. Yeah, that one. Love in Paradise. I mean, an
Okay. Fair.
he's bodied up. He got his name off of Love in Paradise. Everyone who watches
No,
that,
Love Island. Love Island.
Love Island. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. I've been watching Bachelor in Paradise. My bad.
Jesus. What are you doing? You know, sports are on, right?
Yeah. Whatever. Love in Paradise, or
Yeah.
what's it called?
Love Island.
Love Island. Love Island. It's the same thing though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's relatively the same thing. So Love
Yeah.
Island.
It's the UK
He's a
version,
Love Island.
essentially.
He's like the star of Love Island. He's a good looking dude. He has a good name. His brother is obviously the best boxer right now, in Tyson Fury. Uh, I think he holds his own with the chirping with Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul's always going to go into fights talking this shit. However, I think he really holds his own. I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but
Well,
that's
yeah.
that's a fun fight. That's a fun fight.
Yeah, I didn't know about the Love Island thing, so yeah, that definitely brings some like
Educate
some.
yourself.
Sorry. Well, and I misspoke earlier. He's 6-0, so
Yeah,
so it could be
educate yourself.
7-0 after his fight this weekend. Yeah, I think you're not wrong. I think he does have a little bit more of a name, a little bit
Huge
more
name.
fame behind him. I mean, obviously his brother is the heavyweight champ, so yeah. I mean, I think it's a good fight for him. I think, but is it a smart fight for him? Probably not. Right.
No,
I
but
think if he wants to continue this little ride that he's on with these big paychecks, obviously that's not smart because
right.
that's a really dangerous fight for him. If Tyron Woodley's not dangerous enough, going and fighting a guy that's an actual, boxer is a little bit more scary. Now I don't know what the guy's, who he's fought and what it actually, what the caliber is, but I got to imagine
It's not
it's
great. It's
decent.
not great.
Well,
I don't think he's fought anybody who's
well, he hasn't fought a
awesome.
YouTuber.
No, but Jake Paul, I don't know if he's necessarily in. Who knows? But I don't know if he's necessarily into the I want a championship in the boxing community world. I would imagine he's more into like the ride that he's
I
on.
don't know though. I
And
mean,
he,
that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like he's
sure,
100% in on this. He's serious. Like this is what he wants to do. I think what he was, he was a high school wrestler. I think he enjoys like the combat or combat sports in a
right.
sense. So, I mean, I think he's serious about it. Obviously, he's got to shake the stigma of being an influencer, a YouTuber, kind of his past.
Right.
We'll
Well, and
see, I guess.
what's your thoughts on the Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul tattoo bet? So
Oh, I don't
we
think I
have
saw that.
we have ourselves a bit of a tattoo bet here with our betting and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But these guys come out and saying that Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul are saying that the loser has to get "I love Jake Paul" on them or "I love Tyron Woodley" on their body. And Tyron Woodley was saying that if he beats Jake Paul, then Jake Paul would have to pay him some serious money if to Tyron's charity if he didn't get the tattoo, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's that say? I mean, that's kind of like a little fun little side bet, especially for this podcast. I mean, I'm into side bets. I'm into the fun things about sports,
Yeah,
and
it'll be interesting. I think I honestly I think if Jake wins, I think Tyron welches on that immediately. I think if Tyron wins though, I think honestly, as bad of a reputation as Jake Paul gets, it's kind of a click-worthy story, and kind of it'll
100%.
get views kind of thing. So I think he probably makes a video out of it and does it. I mean,
Well,
and
it's an
probably makes a bunch
interesting
of money.
story. It's an interesting story nonetheless. I just think like when you're chirping, when you're talking your shit, and Jake Paul's like, let's if you're so confident, do this bet, and Tyron's like, fuck it, let's do it. it you know, it's interesting to it's like another little side bet that is on this. It hypes it up, obviously,
Yeah.
which is what they're trying to do. However, um, it would be so funny if one of them got that tattoo.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening. It's just a headline that that they put out there to try to
Build the
dream,
fight.
yeah, build a fight.
Totally, I agree.
But well, looking at this fight, I think we move to our next and last kind of bit is the bets. So I think you came out and said you want to take Jake Paul in this fight, so you're taking that as one of your bets for the tattoo bet pool here.
Right. So I'm gonna take Jake Paul. He's 3-0. Um, as you mentioned, he's beaten pretty much YouTubers, half kind of old
Athletes.
older MMA fighters, and then
Okay.
one athlete.
Hmm.
So um,
So a bunch of old guys and a YouTuber. Yep.
yeah, so I'm gonna take Jake Paul in this. I think he's serious about it. I think his reputation's on the line. I think at the end of the day, uh, when you have the pressure that is, if you lose a fight, everything goes away. This whole thing with Jake Paul goes away if he loses this fight.
Hmm.
Nobody gives a fuck,
Well,
right?
maybe.
I think nobody gives a fuck if he loses this fight against Tyron Woodley. Nobody gives a fuck
Yeah.
because he's still. So if he lost a fight against um, an actual boxer, right? So say it's not Tyrone, it's an actual boxer, then it's okay. He's in the fight game, blah blah blah. But he's talked this shit. He's he's he went from Ben Askren to like an actual striker, and we can all sit here and go, oh well, Tyrone's really good at striking and this and that, but he is significantly older. And the fact is that nobody really cares anymore about a fighter that is 3-1 or you know whatever. Like we want to
Yeah.
see a win and then zero losses
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. I think ultimately it'll just depend on if he can continue to get people to get in the ring with him. I mean, if you still see him get people that come in and fight, like if you saw it for like Jake Paul versus John Cena, like you're gonna go watch that, or whatever. Like
I
you're gonna
just
go watch
think
them punch each other.
his stick is gone though in a way, and I disagree with but with you because I think his stick is gone. Like if as soon as it's like Dylan Dennis, he's a shit talker. He's Connor Dick Ryder. He's all this that, but he hasn't fought in forever. But
Yeah, but I think that's you. Like you actually enjoy watching fighting. I think you're discounting like the kids, like the TikTok community, or well, those like people that like they're not in it for like good fighting. They're just there to watch like influencers beat each other up, kind of thing. Like they don't really care about like quality fighting.
yeah, but those in my opinion, those fights that are the TikTokers, those like Bryce Hall fights, those um like really low level, the famous TikTokers and YouTubers of the world who are fighting each other. Those are like small potatoes. This is like this Tyrone Woodley Jake Paul fight is actually kind of the talk of the town. It's on ESPN. It's on everything. Like those fights with the TikTokers and shit. That's within their kind of community. It's
Which is a huge community, though.
it is, but it's a level down. It's not taken seriously. But Jake Paul is
No.
actually becoming a person, a fighter who's actually becoming somebody that people are taking seriously.
I
And
don't. I don't take him seriously until he wins this Woodley fight. I don't. I mean, he hasn't fought anyone that's a fighter.
yeah, but everybody's my thing is everybody's watching, right? Like
Yeah, but I'm saying
whether
it, and
whether you're a
it's
diehard or a casual,
yeah, but
you're
there's a
watching
difference
this
between
fight.
watching this. Like I still compare this to like the Jake Paul and Ben Askren fight was the same level as like the Bryce Hall fights. Like it's still just like influencers fighting, in my opinion.
In
Like
your opinion.
it's
However,
not
their
fighting.
numbers are completely different.
Well,
They're
not.
like,
I don't know if they were though.
oh, they were. I mean, I like. There's no doubt they were. Like, I remember
But
watching.
a lot of that's the where it's located though too. Like who's
True,
putting it on. Like this is different. This is Showtime. This is going to be a lot different
exactly.
instead of
But
like Triller or whatever it was on before or whatever the heck that
or
Bryce Hall
their
thing was on.
or their YouTubes. I mean, the Bryce Hall, he fought some fucking other YouTuber or whatever, but that fight was big in their community. I remember like, oh,
But you got to remember that community's massive.
it's big, but it's not as big as.
As no, it's bigger.
I disagree completely.
But
I
it,
think I think
it's
the fight game.
than the fight community.
Did you watch the Bryce Hall fight?
Yeah, but do you know how many followers Bryce Hall has? I'm saying like the TikTok community is bigger than the fighting community.
I disagree. I disagree. I think so.
How
Bryce
many
Hall
people?
has Bryce Hall has, let's say, 30,000 or 30 million followers on TikTok. I don't think that translates into the fight. So you have 30,000 or 30 million followers.
No, but I'm
However,
saying
30 million of them are not all 30 million of them
no,
aren't
but
going to buy that
30
fight.
million aren't people aren't. I don't think 30 million people watch the 30 million people didn't watch the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight.
No, but it was big enough that it was talked about in the sports community. That's like my whole
No,
point
yeah,
is
okay, so yeah,
who's
I
talking
see what
about
you're
it.
saying.
So like
Well,
if ESPN is like debuting it on and like saying if ESPN is talking about it on their network, it's big. It's big enough. But they didn't even touch the Bryce Hall bullshit.
well, I mean, do you watch ESPN every minute of the day? I think they did probably at some point.
Look it up. Bryce Hall on ESPN. There's no way,
Did.
dude. Bryce Hall, that whole bullshit, that's like some TikTok bullshit that like he fought some other dude he was like fake beefing
But
with.
more
I
so
mean,
to me, I think to me on the people that actually take like watch fighting and are legitimate about it, I think those like the Jake Paul stuff is on the same level as the Bryce Hall stuff. They just think it's just a bunch of influencers fighting. They don't care. They
who
don't
are
take.
you saying that?
No, I'm saying they don't take them seriously. I think actual
The
fight
diehards or
fans.
the casuals or what?
No, I think like diehard fight fans, people that actually like watch fighting on a week to week basis and actually care about fighting and
I
actual
disagree.
fighters.
I disagree.
I
I
don't
mean,
think they. How could
it's
you?
on the Joe Rogan podcast. It's on
Well,
Brendan Schaub's
yeah,
podcast.
they
I mean,
talk about that. Yeah, they talk about stuff that's in the news. I think if
but
you
they
want,
also talk.
I think if you went on
They
a
didn't, they didn't touch the Bryce Hall shit really.
no, but I'm saying they don't take this guy seriously. They're not like he's the next up and coming fighter, Jake Paul.
No, no, he's not a Sean O'Malley or like a.
Sean
But
O'Malley's not in the boxing. I mean, I'm talking about boxing
right,
because that's what
boxing,
we're talking about. We're in boxing right now. We're
right.
not
But
talking about
you
MMA.
you also got to realize boxing is so it's so saturated that nobody's talking about boxing because boxing is 10 years ago. Back like nobody's talking about anything boxing unless you're Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, or
I mean,
even the Mike Tyson fight where
I
he
mean,
like
Canelo. I mean,
yeah,
you
Canelo,
got
of
lots of
course.
people. I mean, it's. I'm just saying,
But there,
like,
those
I don't
are
think
name
no,
another three boxers other than Mike, other than those
Mikey
guys.
Garcia, Canelo, Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I can name boxers. That's not the problem. I'm saying like I think the boxing community doesn't take Jake Paul serious as a boxer. If you were to say, "Is Jake Paul a boxer?" to a diehard boxing fan, they say no.
Of course not,
But
because he hasn't
that's the
proven
argument
himself
I'm
in that
making.
arena.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
He
okay.
hasn't
So
done that yet.
you're arguing that Jake Paul's a legitimate boxer. I'm not arguing that. I'm
No,
arguing
yeah,
the fact that
that's what I'm arguing. He's not a legitimate
okay.
boxer.
So I'm arguing something completely different. That Jake Paul is, uh, he's creating numbers.
Well, yeah, that's
He's
obvious.
creating
Yeah.
hype that is of the same caliber as like a Conor McGregor, in which like Brendan Schaub, who's an ex UFC fighter, who has a successful podcast. We both know him. He's doing a fight companion
Yeah,
for
but that's just because
his
that's going to
fight.
get him views. That's not because he takes him seriously as a boxer. Is what I'm saying. It's because these guys are getting views. Rogan's talking about him. Schaub's talking about him. People are talking about him. Barstool's involved in this fight. They're going to be doing the tail of the tape stuff. They're a sponsor of this fight. It's because it's going to get views. Eyeballs are on it. There's no fact. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. That's true. But is Jake Paul a legitimate boxer? No. Not until he beats Woodley. I don't think he is. Even if he beats Woodley, I start to maybe think about, like say, okay,
Who's he got to fight then?
I think he needs to
Because
fight someone that's a boxer. That is
yeah,
what they do is they box. I
right.
mean, Woodley is not.
But we should have this debate. You're the type of person who's like, so we disagree because you're the type of person that's like, Jake Paul could fight fucking Floyd Mayweather, win, and he's still not a boxer.
No,
I'm the
because
type of
that's not
person
a.
who's, I'm the type of person who's like, name it, like these guys coming up. Floyd Mayweather didn't fight fucking anybody for the first 10, 15 years of his career. He fought Canelo that was a complete like rookie at the time. Of course, he's a big name now, which is great for him. However, he fought Canelo when he was nothing. If you fought him, now obviously Floyd's way older. However, if you fought him now, it's a completely different story.
Okay, but in Mayweather's and all the people these box, can you find before before Logan Paul, can you find a YouTuber, a professional basketball player, or a wrestler in there? No, you can't.
But you can also find people who
But you can
are
find people that
0
are
and
boxing.
12, 0 and
Yeah, but they're still
60, 0 and
boxing.
120.
They're still boxers. They're not some guy that you just said, hey, 3 months ago, hey, you want to box? Let's do it. Let's have 3 months to train. Now I don't know for sure, but the majority of the guys have been boxing for some time.
Okay. So let me get this straight. You're putting somebody that is an 0 and 15 boxer as a better boxer than Jake Paul, who's 3-0
Not
against
necessarily.
trash.
No.
So who gives a fuck then? That's my whole argument.
That's
is
not
like,
the point I'm making. I'm making the point that I don't legitimize him as a boxer. That's it.
but what will legitimize you?
Beating Tyrone Woodley. Someone that has
He's not a boxer.
no, but he has striking experience. He's proven
Doesn't
that he
matter.
has
He's not a
stri-
boxer.
Yeah, but
You're
he's
gonna
proven
say
this guy has
next week.
striking experience.
Next week after he wins, Jake Paul wins. Say
Yeah,
next
I'll
week
say
you can go,
okay.
well, he beat a fucking UFC fighter. Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say that at all. I'm going to say he beat someone that actually has striking experience. I'm impressed. Let's see what he does next. But right now, at this point, I'm saying he's beaten a guy that likes to wrestle, a guy that won a slam dunk contest at one point, and a couple guys that shoot videos and post them on the internet. Cool. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I'm not
Oh, I get
discrediting.
it.
If he steps in that ring, I have the utmost respect for him. That's a hard thing to do. I've never done it or anything like that, but you can't go out and say like I'm this or that. I'm a great boxer when you haven't really boxed anyone.
No, and of course I'm
of
not
note.
comparing Jake Paul to Muhammad Ali. I'm merely saying that at what point are we going to give this guy credit? Because
And that was the first thing I said off the rip is when he beats Tyron Woodley, I'll start to kind of respect him more as a boxer. But at this point, I don't.
but why? Because
He's fought
another
two
UFC
YouTubers,
guy.
Basketball. Look at who he's
But
fought.
he fought Ben Askren, who's the same.
So you're saying that Austin McBroom is a boxer because he beat up Bryce Hall.
No,
Well,
I'm
that's
saying
the same
that
comparison.
no. But what I'm saying is that Jake Paul has beat XYZ right? He's beaten a
Okay.
few guys, and now he knocked out Ben Askren in whatever the first round or second
All
round,
right.
and then now he's fighting Tyron Woodley. So he knocks him out in the first round, and we go, oh well, that's probably because he fought a UFC fighter. Well, once he fights
I'm not
a
saying that at all. I've
boxing
literally
guy,
said this entire time. If he beats Tyron Woodley, I'm going to respect him as a boxer. I'm saying up until the point that he has fought, until he steps into that ring with Tyron Woodley, at this point, I don't think he is a legitimate boxer because he hasn't fought anyone with legitimate boxing statistics or legitimate boxing background.
yeah, but you're also saying in the same sentence that you're willing to respect Jake Paul on the fact that he beats a non-boxer, but
Okay,
you're
Nate
saying like
Robinson, how many knockouts has he had in his career as a fighter?
zero. You're
Okay,
saying that you're willing to
Gibb, how many knockouts has he
zero.
had?
You're
Deji, how
willing
many
to
knockouts has he had?
zero.
Ben Askren, how many knockouts?
Zero. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe one or two.
One or
Okay,
two.
Woodley has had 5 knockouts in his career. He can box. He's
Yeah.
proven in his career he's a UFC champion. He's
Yeah, but you're
proven that he
saying
can strike.
when
That's
you say
different than Ben
so
Askren, who doesn't throw strikes. It's different than
striking.
Nate Robinson, who was a basketball. It's different.
Sure.
This
No,
is a completely different. You're actually fighting someone that has proven that he can go toe to toe with strikers. I mean, he beat
but
Roy
boxing
Thompson,
and
who is
striking is different. Yes.
yes and no, but I mean, he still has shown that he has that ability.
Boxing and striking are different. Striking, there's so when you say somebody's a good striker, well, they're a good striker in the MMA community, but they also might be feared. Well, and a perfect example is Tyron Woodley, that he's able to take people down. So they're always trying to guard against the takedown. So he's able to he's able to strike them better because he's able to take them down.
You're
So
making a better argument for my case right now, but continue. Because now he doesn't have to
I,
worry about that. So he's going to be a better striker in there. So if Jake Paul beats him, then that means Jake Paul is a
no,
better boxer than himself.
Jake Paul doesn't have to worry about the takedown.
No,
So
but neither does Tyron Woodley.
Woodley
So
has
he's able
one.
to. So he's able to focus more on his boxing.
Or is the takedown a threat, a part of his game? That's going to be answered
Not at
on
this point
this
because
Sunday.
he's been focusing more on boxing because he doesn't have to worry about. He
What do
doesn't
you
have
mean
to.
focusing on boxing? He's been boxing for
I know, but I'm saying leading up to this
maybe
fight,
a year, six
leading up,
months.
leading up to this fight, though, he hasn't had to worry about. He doesn't have to spend 2 hours on the floor rolling around worrying about defending chokes. He's been focused purely on boxing. He can focus on his
Yep.
footwork. He can focus on.
Right. Jake Paul's been doing this for 4 years.
You don't think Tyron Woodley's been practicing boxing in his entire UFC career? You think this is the first time he stepped into a gym and said, "Hey, let's learn how to box"?
I think it's the first time he's had to step into a gym in which he said, "Hey, um, I want to just focus on the fact that I'm going to box this person and not have to worry necessarily about the takedown." I think Jake Paul knows that he doesn't have to worry about the
That seems really
takedown.
dangerous for Jake Paul to me. That seems dangerous that he's going against a guy that has a fighting pedigree that's now he has a singular focus on just boxing and not have to worry about all this other stuff that he typically has to worry about in an octagon.
It'll be interesting. I see the advantage uh, for Jake Paul in the sense that he's been boxing, practicing boxing, or training boxing, whatever you want to call it, for 4 or 5 years, and Tyron Woodley has been preparing for takedowns for up until 6 months ago. I think Tyron Woodley goes into the fight and doesn't really necessarily understand the boxing world. We've seen
And Jake Paul,
UFC.
who's fought a wrestler, a basketball player, and 2
Yeah.
YouTuber, definitely does.
No, I
And
don't think
hasn't
he
made it further than like 3 rounds.
3 rounds. Yeah, dude, that's
He
what I'm
knows
saying.
he's like Mayweather level at this point.
That's not what I'm saying.
I mean, it kind of is, though. You're like, hey, he's had 4 years of experience just
Yeah.
boxing, so he's going to be,
Training boxing.
yeah. but
Yeah,
Woodley's had. I mean, how long's Woodley been fighting for? Let's look here. I mean,
we'll
he's been
see.
fighting for a long time.
Dude, you know it's fun? We'll
2009.
see
So
it.
Woodley has had 12 years of fighting experience, and that's just when I'm sure he was fighting before then. So you're saying a guy with, let's say, 15 years of experience fighting.
MMA. MMA.
Tyler, boxing is part of MMA. It's mixed martial arts. Boxing's part of it.
How much of a part of that was Tyron Woodley's game?
I mean,
He was the
a
takedown
decent
guy
striker.
for years.
I mean, he still has
We watched
5 knockouts on his.
of course, but we watched a pure striker in Conor McGregor, somebody who not a takedown guy. Obviously
Floyd
fight
Mayweather.
However, but he didn't even look good.
And yeah, you're right. Tyron Woodley against the pure striker that is Jake Paul is going to be a tough matchup.
I might be off. Hey, listen.
I guess we're going to find out, and that's why I've got Woodley plus 155. I think it's the best underdog you can possibly take.
I would be willing to admit that I'm wrong in this situation. You know, I'm going to argue my case because I do have Jake Paul in this fight. I do have him. I do have, I think he gets done in, I think 3 rounds. I think under 3 rounds rather. I think he gets it done by knockout. I think TKO in the boxing community. But it'll be an interesting fight. Who's right, who's wrong, I have no idea. I made my case, and it's fun to do it.
I mean, we'll find out Sunday, and I'll be happy. Like I started this topic off with.
Next podcast,
I'll be happy to say that Jake Paul's a legitimate fighter. That's what I said at the beginning. I said if he beats Woodley, I think I'll take him seriously as a fighter. But up until this point, I don't.
All right, so let's think of a real quick side bet. Me and you, Jake Paul wins. What do you have to do? Tyron Woodley wins. What do I have to do?
I mean, I'll do exactly what I said I'm going to do. I'll say I'll legitimize Jake as a boxer.
No. I'm saying
I don't think we need any extra juice on this. There's no point.
We got to do something, dude.
No. It's stupid. It's a fight between a guy that's fought a basketball player, a wrestler, and 2 YouTubers.
You're dismissing, but the point is if he loses, then you just get to go, oh yeah, he's but I'm
telling you right now, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to say exactly what I've said since the beginning of this discussion. Is that I will say Jake Paul. Okay, I respect him as a legitimate boxer. I'm interested to see who he fights next.
If Jake Paul wins, you got to wear a Jake Paul Sharpie T-shirt next podcast.
Sure, I'll wear a Jake Paul shirt.
And if Tyron Woodley wins, I'll wear a Tyron shirt next podcast.
You have to listen. I think he's got a rap album. You have to listen to it for 1 week.
I'm down. That's what I mean, though. Like we got to do something fun
sure.
on this.
Because
we obviously disagree so heavily. Like there has to be something.
We disagree, but at the same time, you said if Jake Paul loses, that's it for him. Which is funny because he's such the pure striker that he is. All right, so for my let's see, for my favorite, I am going to take Man United minus 129 against the Wolves this weekend. Your favorite, obviously, we already went over that, and my underdog, we went over that. So who's your under?
My under is Dodgers over Patriots. So Dodgers, they lost 5-2, or they won 5-2. Excuse me, they won 5-2 2 nights ago. They're currently maybe up 1. I don't. You'd have to check in on the game, but
I was gonna look right now.
But that game, the Padres left.
It's 1-1 in the 10th right now.
Yeah, so it's tied. It's going to overtime. So
overtime in baseball.
Yeah. So extra innings.
Thank you.
They the Padres left I think a bases loaded during that game, and a guy struck out. So could they have scored 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, who knows in that game if that guy didn't strike out. But yeah, I go Dodgers to win as my under. They're a slight underdog.
What's the line on that?
I don't have it directly in front of me.
All right, I'll grab it while we go to our prop bets. I am going to take the debut of Messi for PSG. I'm going to have Messi to score. Honestly, not the best prop bet at minus 147, but it will get me to watch the game, and I am very interested in watching the game, and I will probably forget that it's on. So this will just remind me that it is on, I believe,
There you
this
go.
Sunday. PSG, Messi to score. Yeah, minus 147.
My prop bet is, you know, it's unfortunate. It really is. It's Man United to win by 2 against Arsenal.
Man United. You mean Man City?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Man City. Did I write that wrong? Is it Man City or is it Man United?
Yeah, Man City plays Man.
Sorry, yeah,
Arsenal
Man
this
City.
weekend.
I wrote Man United. I don't know, whatever. I wrote Man U to win by 2, but yeah, Man City to win by 2. I I
It's not a bad
I would
bet.
imagine it's going to be more than 2, but I think if Arsenal pulls it out, I'd be willing to lose that bet. Really, I mean,
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm hoping this last game instilled some confidence and some teamwork and some better play from Arsenal, and it's a little bit different game, but I guess we will see. That game is on Saturday, I believe. The Dodgers line was minus 150 against the Padres
yeah,
on tomorrow's game. So,
exactly.
and that should be a good one. You got Scherzer against Yu Darvish, so that should be
And
a
we're-
good little.
and we're in a tie game right now, Dodgers
Yeah,
Padres.
10th.
So, I mean, that game could go either way. I mean, those, you're talking about Tatis Jr. from the Padres, who's lights out. He's star of the league as far as I'm concerned right now.
Probably the MVP this year
Yeah,
of that
there's no
division.
doubt
So,
about it. I mean, he's hot right now. So we'll see what he can do. He steals bases like, you know, no problem. It seems like.
yeah, yeah. All
But
right.
anyways,
Quick before we end the podcast to recap from the results from last week's bet. If you didn't follow along, not a great start for myself. I did go 0-3 on my bets. Although I was very close. Char almost scored, and I was going to be the happiest person because that was the one you made fun of me of last week as Char's score, and he literally was a touch away. Yep, 0-3 for me. Terrible start. You didn't do much better. Just a nice little 1-2. You did get that
Atlanta,
Atlanta
let's
win
go.
as I believe that was your favorite. So go figure.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that will do it for us this week. We tried to keep it short, and we cut it in half. We only did an hour, so perfect
there you go.
time right there. So we will catch you next time. That is episode 2 of the Grin and Barrett podcast. See you later.
See ya.
Peace.